The following content covers the features and functionality added to Fortify products with version 19.2.0. First, let's look at what's been introduced in Fortify Static Code Analyzer. This version of Fortify Static Code Analyzer includes the following language support enhancements. Added support for translating Go language version 1.12 on Windows and Linux platforms. Note that the rules for this feature will be released with Fortify Security Content 2019 Update 4, added support for React 16.5 JavaScript library, and added support for Java 12. With Modular Analysis, you can pre-scan Java libraries and sublibraries separately from the core application. You can then include these pre-scanned libraries when you scan the core project. Fortify Static Code Analyzer can follow data flow through the libraries without including library source code in the core application scan and without requiring rules for those libraries. You get high-quality results without having to scan the dependencies every time you scan the core application. This has the added benefit that you need only audit issues in your core application. Fortify Static Code Analyzer now uses available cores in a more scalable fashion. Increasing the number of available cores in memory can improve scan speeds. Now let's see what's new in Fortify Static Code Analyzer tools. In addition to the default classic scheme, this version of Fortify Audit Workbench comes with a new dark theme. To switch to the dark theme, from the Options menu, select Appearance, and then select Dark Theme. We've added syntax highlighting support for TypeScript, YAML, LESS, and JSON. This version of the Fortify Visual Studio extension works with Visual Studio 2019. You can now upload your project to a remote system for scanning with Fortify CloudScan. Remediation options that used to be in the Remediation Options window are now in the Options dialog box. You can submit bugs to Azure DevOps Server 2019 as well as to Team Foundation Server 2015 and 2017. You can now offload the scan phase of your project analysis to Fortify CloudScan. To do this, with a solution or project open in Visual Studio, open the options to configure the CloudScan settings. Next, enable Upload to Fortify CloudScan. Provide the URL for the Fortify CloudScan controller. After a successful scan, you can have the results uploaded to Fortify Software Security Center. To do so, you must provide an authentication token of the type Cloud Control Token. Also, make sure that you've specified the Fortify Software Security Center URL in Options Server Configuration section. From the Fortify extension menu, select Upload Solution to CloudScan. This version of the Fortify Jenkins plugin includes the following enhancements. Use the updated Fortify CloudScan features to translate and scan applications in many languages on a remote system. You can also perform translation locally and then run the scan remotely. The previous capability to translate and scan locally is still available. Download the Fortify plugin from the Jenkins Plugins Index. Instructions and a link to the complete documentation are provided with the plugin. In a freestyle project, you can add a Fortify Assessment post-build action and then choose the Fortify SCA analysis type to perform your job. To add a post-build action to perform a complete analysis on a remote system, add the Fortify Assessment post-build action. Select Remote Translation and Remote Scan. Select the type of application you want to analyze. To translate and scan languages that are not listed in the application type list, use the application type Other. Optionally, specify Fortify Static Code Analyzer translation options and CloudScan controller settings. Choose whether to upload the scan results to Fortify Software Security Center. Next, let's see what's been introduced in Fortify WebInspect 19.2. A new version of the Web Macro Recorder was introduced in Fortify WebInspect 19.1. In the current release, a new prompt appears when you launch Fortify WebInspect. It provides an easy way to set the new Web Macro Recorder as the default recorder. For more information about the new Web Macro Recorder, see the Fortify WebInspect documentation. To improve the accuracy and performance of our auto-generated login macro technology, we've upgraded the underlying macro autogen engine and improved our signatures. The new MacroGen server application enables you to create a login macro from the command line interface by providing the start URL, username, and password. To improve the accuracy in validating macros, we also upgraded the underlying engine for macro validation. If your application maintains client state by passing a value from one response into subsequent requests, you can enable and configure response state rules using regular expressions to accomplish this. Now you can enable and configure response state rules in the default scan settings in the HTTP parsing window. For information about enabling and configuring response state rules, see the Fortify WebInspect Help or User Guide. We've simplified the scanning of APIs that are documented using the Open API specification or the Open Data Protocol. You can use the API scan option in the basic scan wizard or leverage this feature from the Fortify WebInspect API or command line interface. To conduct an API scan using the command line interface, use the -u parameter to specify the URL to the Swagger or OData definition file. Then add the new -API parameter to specify the type of API to be scanned. The options are Swagger and OData. API scanning by way of the Fortify WebInspect API is discussed later in this video. For more information about scanning with the basic scan wizard or the command line interface, see the Fortify WebInspect Help or User Guide. In the basic scan wizard, select API Scan. Type the URL to the Swagger or OData definition file, then select the API type to be scanned. You can integrate the third-party software Node.js, Node Package Manager, and Newman Command Line Collection Runner on the machine where the Fortify WebInspect REST API is installed. This will allow you to use your existing Postman automation test scripts, also known as collections, with the Fortify WebInspect REST API to conduct scans of REST API applications. The new Postman API Endpoint is discussed later in this video. For additional information about Postman, tips for creating a good Postman collection, a process overview, and troubleshooting tips, see the Fortify WebInspect Help or User Guide. We're improving the accuracy of our vulnerability retest engines. In this version, we're releasing a technical preview of these updated capabilities, which are available in the Fortify WebInspect API and command line interface. This updated version allows for testing all detected vulnerabilities, vulnerabilities by severity, or even individual vulnerabilities by unique identifier. The new -iv parameter creates a settings file that you can use to start a scan to retest vulnerabilities. You must provide the GUID, which is the base scan ID, and the directory path and file name for the settings file to be created. You can specify a severity level to retest all vulnerabilities flagged with a specified severity. Or you can provide a vulnerability ID prefix, which is the unique session check found ID, to test a specific vulnerability. You can also provide a list consisting of both, as shown in this example. If you don't provide a severity or vulnerability ID, then all vulnerabilities in the base scan are retested. The updated API endpoint is discussed later in this video. You can integrate Fortify WebInspect with Selenium WebDriver. This technical preview allows you to scan your code using the command line interface or using the Fortify WebInspect REST API to create a workflow macro. This integration enables WebInspect to automatically run Selenium binaries, detect the tested surface area of the application, and then test for vulnerabilities. For more information about Selenium WebDriver, including detailed information about the integration process, see the Fortify WebInspect Help or User Guide. You can find the following new or updated API endpoints in the Fortify WebInspect Swagger user interface. A new API scanner category of endpoints enables you to create API scans. You can use the new Start Postman Scan endpoint to create a scan using your existing Postman collection files. Use the new Start API Scan endpoint to create a macro from a Swagger or OData definition file and then perform an automated analysis. You can use the new Retest endpoint in the Scanner category to retest vulnerabilities in a specified scan. the Verify Site endpoint has been updated to validate the URL format, confirm that the host can be resolved, and verify that requests return a valid response. It also tests the application's complexity. For example, it tests links and scripts and the application's response time. For more information about these endpoints, see the Fortify WebInspect REST API Swagger user interface. Here's what's changed in this version of Fortify WebInspect Enterprise. To provide more flexibility, Fortify WebInspect Enterprise no longer requires Internet Explorer with Silverlight. If you use modern browsers such as Chrome or Firefox, you're prompted to install the new WebInspect Enterprise desktop client. You can use this client application to view scan results and the traffic monitor, use guided scan for websites and mobile devices, and to generate reports. Next, let's take a look at what's new in this version of Fortify Software Security Center. A new seed bundle is available for seeding the Fortify Software Security Center database. The optional PCI Basic Seed Bundle adds a payment card industry security standard process template and its associated report to the default set of issue templates and reports. PCI DSS will remain open for the assessment of previously started and newly started assessments initiated before June 2021 until October 2022. After October 2022, the new PCI Software Security Framework will be the set of standards for evaluation. Fortify Software Security Center has a new session logout screen. If you logged in as a local user and you log out, or if Fortify Software Security Center logs you out because your session timed out, the session logout screen displays a link that you can use to return to the login screen. If you logged in using a SAML-based single sign-on account, which supports single sign-off, and you then log off, the session log-off page gives you the option of logging out as a local user or logging out from your SSO SAML account. If you logged in using a SAML-based single sign-on account and your session times out due to inactivity, a session logout dialog box gives you the option of signing out locally, signing out of your SAML account, or staying logged in. You can now export all of the data shown on the dashboard to a comma-separated values file. From the dashboard view, click the Export Data to CVS button. In the Export CVS dialog box, enter a name for the file and any note you want to keep on the data, then click Save. Software Security Center displays a message at the upper right of the page after the export is completed. Click the link in the message to go to the Export Data tab, where you can download your CSV file. Now, in addition to the file formats already supported, you can attach files in doc, docx, PPT, and PPTX formats to the issues you audit. The Issues table on the Audit page now includes a column that lets you see at a glance whether comments were added to an issue. If an issue has any associated comments, the column displays a speech balloon icon for that issue. To view the comment, just click the icon. Finally, let's see what's changed in Fortify CloudScan. As of this release, you now use a single CloudScan zip file to install Fortify CloudScan clients on both Windows and Linux operating systems. To upgrade your Fortify CloudScan sensors, you now either install the latest version of Fortify Static Code Analyzer or simply unzip the CloudScan zip file. For more information, see the Fortify CloudScan documentation. Fortify CloudScan now supports remote translation and scanning for .NET and ASP.NET projects. The Fortify CloudScan utility that packages source code, dependencies, and Fortify Static Code Analyzer translation instructions, which was introduced with version 19.1.0, now supports ABAP, Apex, Classic ASP, Adobe Cold Fusion, PL/SQL, TSQL, TypeScript, VBScript, and, for Windows only, .NET applications, including C#, VB.NET, .NET Core, and .NET Standard. This CloudScan utility also supports auto-packaging using MS Build, in addition to the Gradle and Maven build tools. Finally, when security content updates are required, CloudScan now communicates this to its sensors. We hope you found this information useful. Thank you for watching.